Hi everyone, my name's Janine. Welcome to my Thursday night live. So today I'd like to share some information with you about truth. The truth about truth. Most of you, if you're watching my video or you're watching videos of people out there that are sharing information about the changes on the planet and the ascension and consciousness and spiritual development and personal development and all this other stuff that's going on, are seekers. You're seeking truth. But the truth is that your perception of truth is your perception of truth. You can put 100 people in a room and show them something on a screen, maybe a sketch or even a movie or something like that, and ask them to write a synopsis of what they saw in that movie or what they saw on the screen. Every single one of those 100 people is going to give you a version of truth based on their perception of what they've got in their belief systems from their experiences in life, what they've witnessed up until the age of 7 in particular with their parents and their aunts and uncles and grandparents and people around them, and what they've learned from their peers, what they've learned from watching movies, from reading books, from reading newspapers, from work colleagues, and so on and so forth. So everyone's got their own perception of what truth is. So when I first started out on this personal spiritual development, expanding of my consciousness journey, which was over 20 years ago now, I used to go to the bookstore that had a coffee shop in it. It was called Borders. And I would drop my son off at school, not every day, but the odd day, and I would go and I would sit in the bookshop, in the coffee shop, in the bookshop, reading for hours, and sometimes until I picked him up from school. And I was looking, I was seeking, I was searching for the meaning of life. Why are we here? What's all of this about? And that personal spiritual development, mind, body, spirit, call it, it's got various different names, consciousness. That area of the bookstore was full of books. There was just so many different books there. It's like, where do you start? Well, first of all, my first book is the result of that question, where do you start? I wrote a book 14 years ago now, maybe 16 years ago now, called The Angel, the Witch and the Warrior. And it was based on me and my, other lifetimes and stuff like that. But there's 40 chapters in that book on just a little bite size of different subject matters. Because to me, when I was going and reading those books, maybe 10-20% of each book was juicy information. The rest of it was what I call fillers. Well, I'm not interested in fillers on any level, hence the wrinkles. So when I was there, I was not sure which books to go for. So I started working on my intuitive side and asking to be guided to the books that had the gold nuggets in that would help me on my journey. And when I was meditating on it, I was asking a question, well, if there is all these different truths, that every one of those authors has written a book based on their perception, possibly some of the information they've gleaned from other authors of books they've read in the past or gurus they've followed or experiences they've had or something like that. So every single book was based on a truth, based on perception of the author that wrote that particular book. So you could get, all these different authors writing about the same subject matter, but the truth of their perception was slightly different from the truth of somebody else's perception. So this left me in a bit of a quandary at the time because I was really seeking the truth. So the best thing I could come up with, having asked for guidance, was a prayer that I developed, that I said every night. I'm not really a prayer person. I communicate with the supreme consciousness, I call one, but not in a religious kind of way. When you say prayer, it gives a religious connotation. I'm talking about a request, more of a request. How do I filter through all of these different truths to find the one that's the most accurate? And back then, I still used the word God. I released my religious beliefs, my spiritual beliefs and systems from other lifetimes and from what I'd inherited down my ancestral lineage. So I was still using the word God, but I was using it with the extended, the first source and centre of all creation. So anyone that's read my books, I use those terms, and eventually I turned that became the word Abba, which means father in Hebrew. It just made it easier. So when I was meditating, what I got was, well, you could ask for the divine truth. And I thought, divine truth is not really a word that I use. But at the time, I made up a prayer that every night when I went to bed, I was talking to one creator, universe, God, call it what you will, and asking to find the divine truth and see the divine truth. And then I started thinking about, well, might be seeing it, but what am I hearing? What am I sensing? What am I feeling? So I extended that prayer to asking Creator, God, one, source, call it what you will, to help me see, hear, know, taste, touch, feel, all of my senses, the divine truth. And I actually said it for 5 years or thereabouts. It was really important to me that I found out this information. And anyone who's followed me for the last few years on my Instagram channel that I'm not live on anymore, I share the odd reel on there now and then. I found out a lot of truths about different rabbit holes. I went into the conspiracy rabbit hole. And at first that felt like the truth because that's what I'd been guided towards. But what I realised after years of looking into all of these different rabbit holes, they are literally other timelines. Rabbit holes are the timelines of information that's been brought to the public, which is trapping their consciousness in certain negative timelines. So when I escaped that rabbit hole, I stopped using the word divine and I started to experience and perceive things from a different perspective because I was taking all of these false informations, false belief systems, even believing that there was, only one timeline. There isn't. There's multiple timelines. We can pick a timeline. It would be wise to pick the one timeline because that's the one that the construct, I'm being careful with the words on YouTube, I'm going to spell it out, Matrix, is being ripped apart. The negative stuff in there is being taken apart, is being deleted, is being neutralised in my Patreon channel. So if you haven't joined us yet, it's $5 a month, that's all. And you get 2 one portal healings in there, and we do a 20-minute no mind meditation, which is super powerful today, and it was dedicated to the people that are suffering in Florida from the hurricanes today. But the one portal healings in there, I know what the intentions are, but we don't share what the intentions are. The intentions are may the will of one be done and for the highest good of all. So that's what the Patreon channel is about. It's a group of people that are meditating, healing together for the highest good of all. And we need more people to join us. So please consider it. There's a link below. So, truth has a different thing, feeling, meaning, resonance for everyone, depending on what they've got in their system, what they've got in their cubes of consciousness. And if you don't know what those are, you might want to check out my other videos where I talk about consciousness. We've all got different perceptions of what truth is. If you look at a relationship of another couple, for example, maybe one partner's not very well behaved in that, and you're friends with the other one, so you're going to see the truth in that you're going to see one of those partners as the bad guy and one as the good guy. But somebody else may be The bad guy's friend is going to see it the other way around because of the stories they're getting from that side of the relationship. So truth, in reality, isn't really truth. There isn't an absolute truth, because all truth is based on perception, whether we're idealistic people, whether we're materialistic people, how we've been brought up, what religious beliefs we have, what schools we went to, what our peers believe, what we watch on our screens, what we absorb from watching movies, and things like that. For example, people that like rom-coms and watch, that kind of movie, they've got their, they thrive on that romanticism in there, and that's probably what they're going to create in their reality and relationships, because they've been pulling in all of this, romantic stuff into their system. There's nothing wrong with romance at all. I'm romantic myself. I think it's an important part of relationships. So perception is what's really going on. And what is perception based on? Well, perception is based on our belief systems, our core belief systems being brought up by our parents and relatives, our belief systems that have been programmed into us through the school system, through religious systems growing up. Then you've got on top of that the perceptions based on what we've read in newspapers and magazines and what we watch in the media, and then on top of that what we're watching through TV series and through movies and reading books and even computer games and things like that, having an effect on our perception of reality and are actually helping us manifest reality, even though we don't really want them to do that. If we're watching violent movies, for example, we're pulling in violence into our subconscious and into our consciousness, our cubes of consciousness, and all of it. Everything we've got inside us, everything that we are made of, is projected into our reality. And we only need to look at the world around us to see that we've all got work to do. Ignoring bad things is okay if there's no charge there. If it doesn't make you angry or make you want to do something about it or make you have an opinion about it or upset you or make you sad, then that's a charge. That's a trigger of some kind. But if you're seeing things and there's nothing there, you're either a psychopath or you're enlightened. You decide. So, truth. All we can ask for is the nearest to pure truth, pure consciousness, and hope that our own subconscious, our own belief systems, our own learned and inherited judgments and perceptions are clear enough, because we've been doing enough work on ourselves to make a good, educated decision on what we see and perceive as truth. Or at least sit and have a think about it. Maybe make up your mantra or prayer so that you're getting the right information. Asking for the information that you need for you, for your journey. Not everyone needs to go down that conspiracy rabbit hole. They may be not connected to anything in the conspiracy stuff at all. These are timelines. And even though we're all one and we're all connected, so everything that exists is within all of us, not everything that exists within us is activated. So those timelines may not be affecting everyone. Some people can live through their lives and have a great life and not be affected by any of the negativity there at all, because that's what their program is in their system. That's what they've come to do. That's what their contracts is and their contracts are, and so on. But there's a lot of us here at the moment that are referred to as starseeds and light workers and things like that, people that bring us of light to the world, that are seeing these things because we've been involved in maybe secret societies or stuff like that in other lifetimes, or maybe even our parents or grandparents or, you know, our ancestors were involved in things like that. Maybe they were involved in black magic, and some people might think that's rubbish, it doesn't exist. Well, I would put this question to anyone that ever says that. If things like black magic don't exist, why is there a death penalty in Saudi Arabia for witchcraft? For something that is just woo-woo rubbish made up. I've spoken to people before about entities and demonic entities and stuff like this, and everyone, I was speaking to someone last week, they said, I don't believe in things like that. Well, if you go onto the internet, I think it was July 15th, 2015, something like that, when Pope Francis declared that exorcisms would be a free service offered by the Catholic Church. Why would the Pope be offering that service if people weren't getting possessed with demons? So there's a lot of things that people push to one side as being fantasy and just something in movies, when in truth, they are programs within our system, like a virus in the machine, that over the centuries, over the millennia, are being given shapes and forms and things like that. Where do they come from? Whoever wrote the books, whoever made these stories up, and I mean the books, the good books. Prior to those writings, we were more in neutrality. These things have separated good and evil, and from that has developed all of these different layers of belief systems, what's right, what's wrong, who's good, who's bad. When you're in neutral, which is what one is about, it's about bringing the light and dark into one, none of that gives you a charge. None of that makes you angry or want to change it, because you've already changed it. Your reality is what you experience around you. Your reality that you want to experience what's going on the other side of the world, you're doing through screens. Remember, they're portals that let that energy into your system. So it's up to us to change the world outside by changing the programming inside us. Stop seeking truth, because there is no absolute truth. Start thinking about what's best, what's the pure consciousness answer to what you want to find out. We can put, again, 100 people up in a room, and you could bring some famous politician in there and put them up on the stage, and half the room's going to love them, half the room's going to hate them. They're all going to have a perception based on what they think is the truth about that person, and where has it come from? It's come from controlling media outlets. It's come from people knowing how to use subliminal language and things like NLP to trick people that don't know what's going on into believing certain things. There's a lot of manipulation going on, a lot of manipulation. The best way to feel the purest level of truth is to refine yourself. So it's about getting yourself clean, letting go of all of your old belief systems, all of them, whether family, religion, education, let go of all of them and start again, going back to basics. You can feel truth. When you're clean, when you've cleaned out what's been programmed into us, you can feel truth. You can feel when someone's telling you lies, because your body is going to respond. Even if you haven't been trained in body language, when people, I don't know if it's look up left or look right, they're lying. If, their eyes widen, they're about to tell a lie, or they're thinking about it or something like that. there's the body language of it, but you don't, even if you don't know the body language, when somebody tells you a lie, when you're a clean vessel, I'm not talking about being perfect, guys. I'm not perfect. I'm not looking for perfection, but we can all be better. Let's face it. You can feel people's integrity. You can feel people that are authentic. We all wear masks. We have to. It's life. You go to work, you wear a mask. You're in the office, you're professional. You're playing with the children, you've got your kiddie, mask on. You're dealing with your parents, you may be, helping them, and you're looking after your parents. If you've got elderly parents, you've got that mask. We've got all these different areas of our personality it's just part of life. But when you start to let go of all of these different things, you can just be yourself. And it's a nice place to get to. Sometimes you have to put on a mask. If you've got to go for an interview, you've got to put your best foot forward. And people train you how to do things like that. But I tell you now, we're living in an epoch where what has gone on in the past, and I've witnessed it recently when I went to a big event. I've witnessed the manipulation of the speakers, the NLP that's being used on people to get them to sign on the dotted line and stuff like that. And it just won't work with me. It's like somebody, a used car salesman trying to sell me a car, or somebody knocking on my door trying to sell me windows for my house. They've never worked on me because I do not resonate with pictures. When people are pitching things, and it's really difficult, and I find it difficult in my own business because I'm not a pitcher, I'm not good at it. There are set rules that people need to do, but it doesn't feel right to me, and so it's not something that I can do easily at all. So have a think about who you're listening to, what's resonating with you. Asking your body, your higher self, to use your body. Is this the truth? Is this authentic? Is this just sales pitches and people don't really care? Are you just a dollar sign? Or are they in this because they really care about healing, helping the world, helping people? Or is it just a business? You'll soon figure out if you listen to your body. Every single hair on your body is a little antennae, an extension of your nervous system. And that's why I used to share with people about not shaving. When you stop shaving, you've got all these hairs on your body that are telling you instinctively when something's not right. But if you shave them off, they're not there to help you. I'm not talking about if you've got, a woman with a beard and you don't want a beard, obviously you're going to wax it off. I understand that. But I'm talking about the basics. Our hair is there for a reason. And it helps us distinguish between lies and truth, between being safe and not being safe. Because the hairs on your body stand up for a reason. So have a think about who you're listening to. How does it make you feel? Is it giving you useful information? Is it making you feel scared? Does it make you feel good? Does it make you feel enlightened? Is it something you want to share with other people? And just choose who you're allowing in to your consciousness wisely. Because there's a lot of people out there saying they're dropping truth bombs, and it's more like BS than bombs. Because people's consciousness can be interfered with. And it's happening a lot. So if you're listening and your internal BSometer, I call it, starts going off, trust yourself, trust that your body is telling you the truth, that this isn't right, and to move on. Because there's so much going on in the world at the moment. You can sit and watch screens all day and be terrified of what people are sharing and the corruption and the conspiracy and all this stuff, and it consumes you and it lowers your frequency. Or you can be very choosy about what you're watching and educating yourself into a higher perspective of understanding what's going on. So that you're coming from your truth, you're centered, you're focused in your heart center, and making decisions based on wisdom, rather than watching screens of people that know how to pull the wool over your eyes and use certain techniques. I'm certified in NLP, but I would never use it to manipulate another human being, and it's happening. So be careful, be wise, and maybe make up your prayer or your mantra about seeing the divine truth in the words that are going to work for you. Pure consciousness, the highest truth possible, and focusing on that. And be careful of the truth bombs that may not be the truth. Thanks for joining me, guys. If you're new to me, please check out my website, JanineRegan-Sinclair.com. There's the links below. I do one-to-ones. I clear the energy in your homes. I do programs to help people with trauma, addiction, weight issues, mental health issues. And there are 13 online courses and about 50 self-help audios on my website as well. So I hope that's been useful, guys. Alchemize the energy. You're welcome, sweetheart. Thank you. And I will see you all again soon. And remember, Patreon. If you want to change the world and dismantle this construct that begins with M, my Patreon channel is the place to be. We are doing huge things in that group. Huge things. So please share this, like, subscribe, and I will see you again soon. Have a great week. Bye.